From the Center for Agricultural Profitability at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, this is Nebraska Farmcast, and I'm Ryan Evans. There are a number of price risk management tools available to livestock producers today, but learning about all of the options and knowing when to actually apply them or not can be challenging. Dr. Elliott Dennis with the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's Department of Agricultural Economics is here with me again to offer advice on how to navigate the available options and to discuss the importance of matching the right price risk management tool to different market situations. Hi, Elliott.
Hi, Ryan.
Thanks for being here. So because this is a complex topic, can you just begin by offering a general definition of what a price risk management tool is?
Yeah, so we often think of price risk management tool as a way to protect output price. And so sometimes we can talk about input price risk management, but in this context, we're talking about output price. So we're selling something, we put a lot of costs into producing cattle or in producing hogs or chickens, and ultimately we have to bring them to the market and sell. The difficulty is that we have to expend a lot of money before we actually receive something in return. So price risk management is just a portfolio of tools or a combination of tools that we can use to help transfer some of that risk that we might experience in the market or not transfer it. So sometimes the most common really is the cash market, right? Well, and that is a form of price risk management. We're just taking all of the risk, but we have to be aware that we're taking all of those risks. And there are certain situations in the market that the market tells us to take all of that risk. But then there's other times when the market says there's probably ways that you can offset some of that risk. And mainly what we're talking about from an ag producer's perspective is really protecting downward price movements. I think we're all okay when prices go up, but when prices come down or they start to feel like they have the potential to really go down, we definitely want to be aggressively looking at some of those tools, which include futures, options, livestock risk protection, forward contracting through the use of video auctions. Those are the types of price risk tools that we refer to.
I know you said that one of the most important factors that a producer should look at when determining which tool to use is the current market and the future market situation. Can you just talk more about why that's so fundamental? And I guess before you answer that, do you get the sense that a lot of producers maybe just go to a tool because they've used that in the past or they heard about it and without maybe regard for the market situation? Yeah,
so in my experience in talking with producers and also some of the survey work that we've done here in the department over the last 10, 15 years has been that producers tend to take probably more risk in the cash market than we probably should. And so the cash market is really important when we're certain about where that price is going and we expect it to go steady higher. Well, anyone who's followed the prices over the last 10 to 15 years will attest that certainly hasn't been the situation every year. Maybe at certain times of a given year, but definitely not through the entire production season. And so that's when we talk about offsetting some of that risk. Probably the biggest reason why we see a lot of those people take that is sometimes they just don't know which tools to use and which situations to use them. The situation that I often use to describe this is if we're building, a house, we have certain tools in our toolbox and we don't use one tool to build the entire home. We have certain tools that we use. For instance, if we're, cutting a 2x4, we use a saw. We don't take out our hammer to cut the 2x4. That seems pretty logical, but in the same situation, we have tools in our price risk management toolbox, and those should be used for certain market conditions. That's probably the first thing, is that we don't know which tools to use and how they work. And the second is we don't know when to apply those tools. And so that's why this article, Dr. Parsons and myself felt like we should write this to really show what are those market situations that are present that we can now match the tools to the market situations.
Yeah, and we encourage listeners to check that out on our website, cap.unl.edu. Again, Elliott has written that with Jay Parsons, a professor here in Ag Econ as well. And in that article, you walk through a scenario with livestock risk protection insurance, LRP, which I'm sure a number of people are familiar with. Can you explain how LRP works, and then using that as an example, the considerations that should go into a decision to use it or to not use it?
Yeah. So livestock risk protection is offered through USDA RMA, and the reason why it's become so popular in recent years is that the federal government has increased the subsidy levels. Essentially, the subsidy pays producer or a portion of the premium to essentially offset some of those costs. So livestock risk protection essentially sets a floor, a price floor, and if the national price falls below that price, you're basically paid out accordingly. You still sell the cattle in the cash market, but you're paid for any price differences. This would be similar to almost like revenue insurance and on the crop insurance side. And so the federal government is really interested in paying producers to make a management decision, and they can offset some of that risk, and they'll help them offset that risk, rather than providing ad hoc disaster assistance payments programs. And so when we consider livestock risk protection, it's a useful tool. There's lots of subsidies out there, but that doesn't mean every year we should use livestock risk protection. Generally, when we're talking about using livestock risk protection, we're talking about when that market price outlook, we're fairly certain that direction, and we're fairly certain that that price is going to start heading lower. But at the same time, we're thinking that basis is going to go higher. And so basis is the difference between our local cash market and the national price. And so if we think all of those three situations are lining up right now, then we should at least consider using livestock risk protection. And the reason why I say that we should at least consider using it is we recognize that that marketing decision isn't a one-time decision. We can make a marketing decision throughout the entire year. And so at some situations, LRP looks like the right tool we should be using. And at other times, it says take all the risk in the cash market. What the important is that we use the information that we have and make the best marketing decision at that time.
And I know you'll be part of a team planning some more outreach across the state here in 2022 about this issue. What's on tap for those sessions?
Yeah, so during the summer, we'll be Jay Parsons from the department, who I wrote this article with, and myself, and also Jim Jansen, who I'm sure many of you are aware with, does a lot with land values here in the department. We'll be going around the state. We'll be talking about pasture, range, and forage or insurance. We're talking about livestock risk protection, and also about flexible leases and how to really put those all together in a risk management decision framework. And this is something that's available free of charge. It's offered through the Risk Management Center and also USDA NIFA. We apply for those grants, and we have these opportunities to go out and really have a conversation with producers so that they can make the best decisions that they can with the tool sets that they have. So I'd stay tuned. We're trying to collaborate with Farm Bureau and Farm Credit and different local cattlemen's and organizations. And so we're still trying to find that sweet spot of when everyone can do that to provide that education for producers.
Perfect. Well, Elliott, thank you very much for your time. And again, great information here. I'm going to encourage listeners to check out the article on our website, cap.unl.edu. There's some really nice examples of, again, questions to ask, like Elliott's talked about, and a really nice sort of flow chart to walk through these important decisions for livestock producers. Thanks again, Elliott.
Yep. Thanks for having me, Ryan.
Nebraska Farmcast is a production of the Center for Agricultural Profitability at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. For the latest research-based information and education resources to manage your farm or ranch operation, visit our website at cap.unl.edu. That's cap.unl.edu.